you how to save this and stuff, and the options that we can fix. Okay. Okay. So far, everybody good with this? Okay. So the one thing I want to show you, I have on both right here. If I go over here and I select my TC1 Fibonacci, and this is the regular one. If I go under options, which is the second tab over, okay, on my options, I've selected show price, I've selected show points, and I've selected extend right. That's on my regular Fibonacci. I also carried this over onto my other one. So I want to go here to TC2, which it switched over. And as you can see, there's no change. It just stayed the same. So I got show points, show price, and extend right. On my TC2, as I've got those values in here, remember we want these values, 33, 66, 83, 91, and 100. Okay. As I go to Save As tab, when I click on the TC2 button right here, it's going to say, are you sure you want to save this? Say yes, and then it's going to go in here, and then you can name this. So as you can see, my TC1 button, which is up here, is going to be my regular fib, and my TC2 button is going to be fib price average. So when I select the Fibonacci tool over here, and I hover over the TC2, you're going to see that price average will pop up there. And then I say okay, so that'll apply this to the tools, and we've saved the tool. Any questions so far? Did I leave anybody behind? And please, don't be embarrassed. Speak up. If you don't have it, speak up. Let's go over it now. Okay, I don't see any questions. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. Okay, so now here comes the calculation that we have to perform for this. So the first thing I want to do is find out on the screen. So let's say we took a trade and we are down here. We did sell trade. Okay, so this is where my sell trade is. Off of this sell trade, because we're going down, I want to add 10 pips or subtract 10 pips from this because we're going down. So right here I'm at 5450. So I want to come down here to 5350. Okay, so now I've got 10 pips down. Let's say we're right here, the market's here. See, we've got down pressure right here. So let's go ahead and we'll, instead of being right where we're at, let's say we decided to go down up here or even right here. So we'll put our line right here. Okay, so this is where the market is now. What I want to do now is I want to take my price average Fibonacci that I've created, which is right here, and when I click this, now see if I hover over TC2, it says fib price average. It tells me which one it is. If I hover over TC1, it just says it's my regular fib. So what I want to do now is I want to take my price averaging fib, I'm going to left click right here, and I'm going to drag this down to here, to the purple line. Okay, so what I have right here is this is the perfect scenario. Okay, so because I came to the right, I have 0 at the bottom where my trade is, and I have 100% at the top where the market is now. That's the configuration we want. If I was to slide this over, if I needed to adjust this, all I got to do is slide this over to the left. I hadn't clicked it yet, and see how my numbers flip. So this would be if we're going the opposite way, you can go ahead and adjust it when you're drawing your tool out. But we want this way right here. We want our numbers to definitely be, we want our 100% at the top by where the market is now. And I'm trying to pinpoint that guy, and it's just kind of a little finicky here. I had it on and I should have said it. There we go. Okay, so what this is telling me, at 33.3%, I will be doing a 1-to-1 trade. So what that means that as this market is moving down, I have to come all the way here to get me out of this trade with the price average of this guy right here. So we will break this line here, and this trade and the trade we put in at a 1-to-1 will close. 66.6 is a 2-to-1 trade. So we have 1, 2. Okay, so this is a 2-to-1 trade. As you can see, it cuts our distance quite a bit. Okay. If we do a 4-to-1 trade, is 83.3, so that would be a 4-to-1 trade, and as you can see, that's even cutting the distance even more. And my 91.6 is an 8-to-1 trade. Okay, so having these values in here, you have to know that this is a 1, and they grow exponentially. So we got a 1, a 2, a 4, and an 8. Okay. So that's how this trade will go. So if I do an 8-to-1 trade, I only have to travel a little bit past this purple line. We have to do a calculation for this to come out right. This because of, this tool gives us what I call a sighting tool. So this kind of gives us an idea of how far we have to travel to get out of this trade. So if I'm taking a look at this guy right here, and I'm looking at this guy, and I sight it in, and I'd say, okay, I'm going to do an 8-to-1 trade because I want to get out as soon as possible, which would have been good. We would have been, this is a 60-minute chart, but we would have gone, we started here, so 1, 2, 3, 4 hours, we would have been out of our trade. We would have been out of this bad trade, which is quite a few pips away, and we would close this trade out. Okay, so if you guys have pencil and paper, please write this down, because we're going to do some calculation here. And this is the calculation that usually confuses everybody the most. So we're going to go through this slowly, and I hope everybody gets it right as they write it down. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is I want to take the price where we are now in the market. So that would be the 1.09455. So I go 1.09455. I got that in my calculator. I'm going to do an 8-to-1 trade. So with my 8-to-1 trade, my mouse go. There we go. I'm going to do an 8-to-1 trade. So I'm going to multiply this value times 8 equals. That gives me a total of 8.7564 because I took this price and multiplied it times 8. To this value, I'm going to add this total right here, my purple line, my 10 pips down. Okay, so I'm going to say plus 1.05350. Okay, equals. That gives me a total of 9.8099. So I've taken this total right here, I've multiplied it times 8, and now I have added this purple line total to it. Okay. Because I'm doing an 8-to-1 trade, I'm going to take this total that I've got on the calculator and divide it by 9. So I'm going to divide by 9. And the reason I'm dividing by 9 is because I have an 8-to-1 trade that I'm doing plus the one that we have right here. So I'm going to divide this total that we have from all the calculation by 9. And that gives me a total of 1.08998. Okay. So what we're going to do is take a line right here. We're going to find that number. So I want 1.8998. 1.89. That's close, so I'll go ahead and sink him in here. So right here on anchors, 1.8998. So I also, from this total, because I'm going down, I want to subtract one more pip off of this one. So it'd be 988. So I'm going to change my last 2 digits. I subtracted 1 pip because it was 9, and I want to go to 8. So I have 1.08998. So I want 988. That's what I got. So I say okay. So now what we have just calculated here is our take profit. Okay, so this is going to be the take profit on our calculation that we have. So looking at this calculation right here, when we go ahead and place our 8-to-1 trade, we're going to put our 8-to-1 trade in at 1.09455. I'm going to code a take profit of 1.8988. Okay. Now that I've changed that right here, I'm going to take our bad trade that is down here, and I'm going to make the take profit on this bad trade down here, this number right here, 1.08988. So what happens when we do that is that as the market comes down and crosses our purple line right here that we've got this guy right here, which barely touched it, so we really didn't cross it. So we're sitting here, we would not be out of this trade yet. It would be a white knuckler because we could be going the other way. But as long as this comes through and breaks this line, it's going to take us out of both of these trades because we've coded the take profit right here of 0.8988. Okay, so in the calculation where I took this total times what we did, so if I was to do a 4-to-1 trade, I would take our total here times 4 because we're doing a 4-to-1 trade plus this guy here, and then I divide that total by 5 because I've done a 4-to-1 trade plus 1 is 5, so I would divide that total. If I did a 2-to-1 trade here, I would do the same thing. I would multiply this number right here times 2, add this to it right down here, divide by 3, okay? And that would be my get out of jail profit. You know, my would move my line down here because I did a 2-to-1 trade instead of a 4-to-1 trade or an 8-to-1 trade. Any questions? Everybody good with this? I don't see any questions popping in. Oh, the one thing I meant to mention too, while we do, once we've done this calculation and we've entered our trade, and let's say our trade closed, this is going to be a positive number. This trade up here, this is going to be a negative number up here. If you subtract the negative number from here from the positive number here, you're going to find out that you're probably 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pips maybe profitable in their trade. So you've actually closed this trade out with profit, even though no matter how bad it was once this executes. And that's the reason we add the 10 down here. We subtract 10 from if we're going down. We'll add 10 if we're going up. And we subtract 1 from this total here if we're going down, or we'll add 1 to it if we're going up. The reason these percentages calculated out is because at these percentages, it gave us our lines, our sighting lines were a lot closer to what it actually comes out at. Because of the distance we went from point A to point B over here, by doing that, as you can see, 91.6 would have been an 8-to-1 trade, whereas actually we are just a little bit lower than that. So it gives it